or Benison IV.
This is what
So
they're
this was
trying to
also
hide.
that the
This is
heresy
what they're
preachers
setting up for.
invented. They were just
It's
following,
called an
in that sense, they
inquisition.
were following the
Now
rule of
look,
law.
I just shared this on
Two types
my
of prisoners are
page and
targeted for
everything.
torture. Those who
But
refuse to recant, and those who seem to know
apparently
more than they are telling.
they won't let it play. You see that
Inquisitors
right
select
there?
the method of torture,
We're
but they
gonna
leave the
reload this
actual
again.
hands-on performance
We'll
to
see if they're
professional
gonna let it play.
torturers, experts at inflicting
And
pain.
it's off of
First of all, the torture
YouTube,
had to
so
be
I'm not
described
getting no
to the
pay
person.
for it.
Then the instruments of torture had to be shown to the person. And after about 3 or 4 of these steps, do you actually get
This is what they're trying to set up
actually
for.
applied?
That's why they're building prisons and having wars,
The
making
defendant
people
could say,
homeless.
I've had enough of this.
It's a game to
The
them. It's
strappado
all
is
a
the late
game.
Middle Ages and Renaissance era's most popular instrument of torture.
See
The
that right
accused's
there?
hands are bound behind his back and attached to a rope hanging over a beam in the ceiling.
Now that's my
Sometimes weights are added to the
I'm gonna
victim's
publish
feet.
it.
Once hoisted into the air, the prisoner is lowered, then quickly raised again or jerked violently. Leg screws and shin vices are more mechanically sophisticated devices for causing pain. With every turn of the screw, more and more excruciating pressure is applied to the prisoner's legs. In the midst of such mayhem, the Inquisitors
It's called torture.
carefully and faithfully
That's what they
records the
want to
events
do.
of
They
the
want to
session,
torture
ready
people.
to take down a confession
You
if
feel what I'm
or
saying?
when desired. The clergy
And they want to
rationalize
do
all
this
as an act of
by
benevolence.
faith.
After all, if
Their
torture
new
leads to a
religion that they
confession,
trying to
then
create.
the offender can finally reconcile with God and receive salvation.
So if a confession was made under torture, then the process was to take away the instruments of torture and allow for recovery, and to put the question to the defendant again to see if the defendant was only induced by the fear of pain to make this confession, or whether the defendant was actually telling the truth.
See, they want to
With all
force
these
you
methods at their disposal, it is not surprising
accept
that the
what they
conviction
want you
rate
to
of
accept.
medieval inquisitors is almost 90%. Could heresy have really been that widespread? Or were the inquisitors using their power to frighten people into false confessions?
Exactly.
One of the
That's
great
what
problems
Trump is
with
trying to do now.
Dealing with the inquisitorial records, I think, is determining whether you can believe anything that's in them.
Now that's what they're
Because
trying to hide
inquisitors,
right
if they
there.
wanted to, could get people
Now you
to
see this, right?
confess to almost anything.
All through the 13th and 14th century, papal inquisitors wend their way through parts of southern Europe, collecting accusations and investigating heretics. These priests see themselves as God's frontline soldiers in the war to save souls, but they leave behind a battlefield littered with casualties. Inquisition frightens citizens into turning
So
on
I'm
their
gonna just
friends
share
and
this
neighbors,
video right here.
tearing families apart, and turning peaceful communities into rumor mills of lies and
You hear what he
suspicions.
said? Tearing families
Throughout
apart.
all the Holy Roman Empire,
What
and
does
kingdoms and
war do? Tear
principalities of Europe,
families apart.
townspeople
How
wait
many
in dread for the
refugees have been
Sermo
torn
Generalis,
apart?
the judgment phase of the Inquisition
This is what's
process.
going on.
Punishments or penances vary from
That's
public
why they
scourging
building all
to
of these
imprisonment
camps
or
and
forced
prisons
labor.
all,
In
but
many
they're
cases,
not allowing
convicted
people to
heretics are
buy
ordered to wear
land,
distinctive
buy
clothing
houses,
that announces
own or
their
nothing
shame
like
to
that.
the public.
It's a game to these
Typically,
people.
what
It's a
people
game to
wore on
fuck
their
with your lives
clothing
like that.
was a yellow cross, one on the front of their clothing and one on their back. And this was to be worn at all times when they're out of doors. It was not to be obscured by other clothing.
This is why they
And
wear the
before that
ink,
was supposed to be
because
replaced.
they scared.
Those branded with
This
the
is
yellow
why they
cross
wear the
become
cross,
pariahs.
because they slaves.
But their
Scared
fate is
slaves.
mild in
Ink in
comparison
the
to the
cross makes
penances
them
suffered by
scared
relaxed
slaves.
heretics. Those who recant then go back to their old ways. Their punishment is execution. Canon law forbids members of the clergy to participate in any judgment of blood, so inquisitors get around this rule by handing condemned heretics over to the secular authorities.
The inquisitors shed some crocodile tears and say some words that they hope that the secular authorities will display clemency towards these people. But the thorough expectation is that they're going to be burned.
So
When those adjudged guilty of heresy have been given up to the civil power by the Inquisition, the chief magistrate of the city shall take them at once and shall within 5 days at the most execute the laws made against them. Pope Innocent IV, 12.
Pope Innocent, Pope Pius,
Upon
all of these
completion
different
the
popes,
Sermo Generalis judgment,
street
secular authorities
child
escort the
molesters
condemned to a location
from
outside
way,
the
way
gates.
back.
Here, they tie them to tall wooden stakes.
I hope y'all
set
just
against
realize
tons
that that's
of
what they're
wood.
doing. I'm gonna leave a link on my
Inquisitors
site.
themselves never attend these executions.
You were allowed to make your last confession to a confessor if you wished to, but because you were now in the custody of the secular arm, as it were, you couldn't do anything to save yourself from them because they had an absolute charge to execute.
Burning at the stake is one of the most horrific death sentences imaginable. It might take hours for the condemned to be completely consumed by the flames. If the victim is lucky or his loved ones influential enough, there is enough fresh, wet wood in the pile to generate plenty of smoke. Death by asphyxiation is preferable to the slow agony of roasting alive.
Wow, that's crazy.
Even death can't protect you from the clutches of the Inquisition. Sometimes people who have passed away years before are posthumously accused and condemned as heretics. Their graves are pillaged and their remains added to the bonfires. Tragically for the surviving family, the worst is yet to come. Secular authorities immediately confiscate the property of the dead heretics, leaving spouses and children destitute, regardless of their own religious faithfulness. The
See
morning
that?
after an execution often brings with it relic collectors, scavengers bearing sacks who comb the ashes for pieces of the corpses. In most cases, they are neither ghouls nor
Listen,
madmen.
check this out. It's called
They are among the few
Inquisition.
who
The
believe those
Inquisition
executed to be true
documentary.
martyrs
That's what they're
deserve
trying to
that
hide
veneration.
me from putting on my page.
Many people
post. So
were thinking,
I'm gonna put it
well,
out there
heretics are good
anyway.
Christians
All right.
and Inquisitors are evil
All right,
people,
later.
so it could backfire.